Everyone loves a good underdog story. But when it comes to BTS, and quite honestly, many other acts, a lot of the struggle tales are either out of context or severely exaggerated. From they flopped at debut to they recorded their very first album in a garage, some of these myths have been repeated so often they practically become folklore. But receipts don't lie. Let's set the record straight on the most popular and, frankly, funniest misconceptions about BTS. Here's a good one. They were snubbed and had no fans and struggled across the board when they started. The fact is that they swept Rookie of the Year awards and were recognized early critically. What they struggled with was sales. They were critically praised for embodying the youth hip hop concept. And beyond the story, the members were open about the fact that the sales were unstable. In their first four releases, they would do well in one release, and the next one would show some improvement, but not enough. And given the company's poor financial standing, they needed more. Bang Shiuk talked about this in his interview with Yoo Jae Suk, where he was joined by Park Jin Young, a longtime friend and founder of JYP. He specifically mentioned 2014 KCON, where BTS actually returned to Korea from the US victorious. Myth number two: Big Hit filed for bankruptcy prior to BTS's debut. The fact is, they did not file. Right before the debut of BTS, he did consider closing it, but instead took another loan just to keep things going because he believed in the members. Prior to debut of BTS, Big Hit Entertainment was co-managing 2AM, a group signed under JYP. They also had their own group, Glam. Things started going south for Big Hit when the members of 2AM started enlisting in the military. The management arrangements started winding down, and Glam got into a scandal. BTS was not ready, and Big Hit was bleeding, deep in debt. The thought of declaring bankruptcy was ever present, but it didn't close down ever. BTS was Big Hit's lifeline. They were about 74 million deep. He was going to shut it down, but the then vice president asked him how much faith he actually had on BTS. He realized that each member of BTS was talented, and he felt a sense of duty to continue and give it a try. Myth number three: their Troubadour concert was empty and it was never promoted. The fact is that it was actually announced, well, 48 hours before the actual show, but also Big Hit released a press release. As part of the American Hustle Live show, BTS was to do a proper show in Troubadour Club in LA. It was a free one. 2 days before the actual show, Big Hit distributed a press release, and Jeff Benjamin actually picked up the story. BTS also tweeted about it. But more importantly, armies showed up. They more than filled up the space. The venue advised fans to line up an hour before the show, but some armies were actually there at 8 a.m., and the show was supposed to be 6. The venue could only accommodate 180 people, and more than 200 people had to be turned away. Yes, as early as then, BTS already had a very strong fan base in the US. Myth number four: they ignore the US. And it was actually America who discovered them. This is a little bit more nuanced because BTS participated in the KCON 2014 held in Los Angeles. And that's where Bang Shiuk realized that BTS's global potential is actually real. He decided to ask the group if they wanted to give it a try. In 2014 KCON, BTS was actually the first performer. They took the very first slot. But the crowd reaction, Bang Shiuk realized, wasn't just polite. It was actually really loud and real and shocking. In the Harvard business paper, studying the success of BTS, Bang Shiuk said that he asked the members if they wanted to give the North American market a try. He also asked the staffers of Big Hit for their opinion. By the first half of 2015, Wayang Yonghwa, or The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, dropped. And things started picking up. BTS actually won their very first music show. The staffers voted against market expansion and wanted to first concentrate in Korea so that they could financially recover. But of course, Bang Shiyuk and BTS decided to push through with the expansion, and it's really their call. They released Fire and hired a US publicist, Eshi Gazette. Army's US mobilization went into full gear. So while it is true that the indication of success came first via KCON, BTS worked their butt off to continue evolving their music and performances. Big Hit did their part to support BTS, and of course, Army did what we could do. And the rest, as they say, is history. Myth number five: only the rap line wrote and produced, and the vocal line just sang what was given to them. The truth is that vocal line contributed melodies and lines even before formal credits or registrations were common for them. Jungkook actually wrote the legendary line, "My name is Jungkook, the scale is nationwide." It's actually a wordplay in Korean. Jin also stated in their live stream that Jimin wrote the melody for Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and the others actually acknowledged it. Neither Jungkook nor Jimin was credited in those. And in one behind the scenes video they released in Bangtan TV, they actually showed Jungkook was helping the rap line in coming up with a melody and also revising some lines for Danger. So while the rap line took majority of the writing and the production, the vocal line actually contributed significantly. They didn't have songwriting credits in the early years of BTS, but that didn't mean they didn't write. The fact is that the vocal line actually came up with some of the most iconic lines and melodies of BTS. It makes it even more impressive considering they didn't have any experience in writing prior to joining the team. Next up, members weren't allowed to do anything outside a group. Actually, early on, RM already started collaborating with different artists all by himself as a solo act. RM collaborated with Wale. RM also had other collaborations, including one with Tiger JK. Suga did state that if anybody in BTS wanted to come up with their own song, a solo song, or collaborate with anybody, that member has to lead everything from beginning to end. Myth number seven: it was the company Big Hit that engineered the most beautiful moment in life, or Wayang Yonghwa universe. Fact: Wayang Yonghwa has been repeatedly credited to Suga. Even in the book Beyond the Story, they called it Suga's magnum opus. Yes, it is likely that a team actually helped in fully developing the Bangtan Universe, but it doesn't change the fact that it came from Suga. Extended narrative is both a creative and marketing technique that is being used by many artists, not just in Korea, but in other parts of the world. It is important that we all know who started it all. It is BTS, Suga specifically. Next, BTS recorded in a garage because Big Hit didn't have any money to rent a studio. The fact is that, yes, they did record in a garage, but that happened in the US while they were doing American Hustle Life. It was not a permanent arrangement. They didn't stop recording while they were doing the show, American Hustle Life. This was more than a decade ago. Recording studios aren't as affordable as they are now. Again, the story is more nuanced. Yes, they were not certainly dripping in cash, but recording in a garage was a temporary solution. All the other songs they recorded in Korea were actually done in a proper studio. Remember that this happened more than a decade ago. Recording studios are not as affordable, not as convenient, and since they didn't want to stop working, they made do with the garage. And for our last one, BTS's Love Yourself, Speak Yourself stadium tour was way smaller. They sold less tickets. That's why their gross revenue has been surpassed. Actually, BTS never had a stadium tour. Love Yourself was an arena tour. Speak Yourself was the encore for Love Yourself, and that's why they had fewer dates. Map of the Soul tour was supposed to be their very first stadium tour, and it was canceled because of COVID. So, if anybody wants to compare a stadium tour number to BTS's arena tour, let them have it. Their permission to dance on stage was a series of concerts. Again, not a tour. It had 12 shows and grossed $230.7 million from 3.416 million tickets sold across all formats, in person and live stream.
I hope that was fun, but also I hope that was educational or at the very least entertaining. I strive to always make things entertaining, but also informative. And if you're liking it, please let me know by liking the video and leaving a comment. Those two things help. Also, please subscribe and hit that notification button so that you know whenever we upload a new material. And also share the video. That's really helping my channel. Please follow me on X or on Twitter and also on IG. But most importantly, I'll see you on Patreon. Please be a member. There is a free tier. It's a vibrant community, lots of funny conversations going on. It's not just about BTS. We talk about movies, TV shows, culture, books, current events. I'll see you there.